Ja.
Hej och välkomna till Konstakademin där vi har en gästföreläsning med gäster från Frankrike ikväll. Så jag byter språk. We have guests from France tonight, so I'll change language to English and you will lecture in English. Please welcome Atelier Raum, an office that was started in 2009 in Nantes in France, and I discovered their work when I was working in Paris, and they were chosen as young architects in 2009 and exhibited their work at Cité de l'Architecture. And since then you have done many great projects, always related to site and materiality, which you explore in many different ways. And you will present some projects. You have been chosen by Architectural Review for Emerging Architects, and you have won the French Caspesaline Prize, Équerre d'Argent, in 2019. So please, the floor is yours. Julien and Thomas, welcome. Bienvenue.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. We are really very happy to come and give a lecture here in Stockholm. We don't know Sweden very well, but we were very influenced by the landscape of Northern Europe, and in particular the relationship between what is built and nature, the full and the empty. And I am personally particularly concerned because I have made a road trip 10 years ago during my PhD on the footsteps of Alvar Aalto in Finland. And the relationship to nature, therefore, but also to the notion of space, from which comes our interest in the German theme of Raum. So, you know, we are French and not German, but which combine the German term Raum combines the double notion of room and space, and the primitive action of creating a clearing in the forest. We also want to thank you because we are from a generation that feels deeply European, and perhaps more than regional or national. Okay, and this at a time when war has returned in Europe, and when the far right is at the door of power now, today in France. So thank you, and thank you, Tov, for the invitation.
Okay, so we are going to present you some project of the studio. We come from Nantes, in the west of France, where we work with around 20 architects on very different projects and very different scales. Mainly public projects, and where we try to produce an architecture specific to each site and each situation, and which propose to create links between the site, the material, and the inhabitants. So we wanted to begin with these images. Because as architects, we are probably somewhere between these two pictures.
So on the left, it's the work Desert Cloud from 1972. Graham Stevens go to the Moroccan desert with a small bag of a few kilos, put it down on the sun, and the mattress inflates with the warm air and begins to float like a cloud. Okay. The air compression and the difference of density between the inside and the outside creates water on the surface of the cloud. It's, for us, something like the ultimate and radical ecological architecture. With an installation of few kilos, Graham Stevens creates shade and water in the desert without any form of energy other than the sun. On the right, this is a photography of Katikies in Greece, on the island of Kisnos in the Cyclades. A primitive house which was made with the stone of the site and offer a simple shelter for the shepherd and for the animals. We are particularly interested by the minimal building process just as much as the connection of architecture and landscape. The question of this relationship between nature and construction is both simple and complex here. It also refers in a simple way to a series of founding subjects for us of the way of doing contemporary architecture, the relationship to the light, climatic conditions, topography, framing the landscape, the relationship to the ground, and the implementation of the material.
Okay, so we're going to start with Erika. Erika, this is the sinking of the boat called Erika in 1999, which created one of the worst oil spill in French history. So we worked a few years later for the Biennale of Contemporary Art of the Nantes Saint-Nazaire estuary on the creation of a boudoir in French, a simple piece of architecture on a site which had been covered by this disaster. So this first installation initiated an approach to architecture that questions the relationships between the material of architecture and the environment. So how can we create a space with a material that question our territory? We therefore recovered about 60 cubic meters of waste from oyster farming. These oyster pockets you can see on the picture were used to be burned by oyster farmers because they are not recyclable. Then the question was to find a second coherence, no longer between the material and the site, but between the material and its constructive capacities through accumulation. So this took the form of this large cylinder, rough and on the outside and smooth on the inside.
Okay, so from this question of coherence between the material and the environment, we were interested in 2009 in the capacity of the material, which has become generic all over the world, with brick, wood, plastic, paper, and I don't know, so on, to be implemented in order to respond to generic questions. Initially, we made a proposal for scenography competition for the Bauhaus Lab exhibition in Marseille, in the south of France. And the request was for an adaptable, modular, mobile exhibition, like all the exhibition. And this was quite common. And we asked ourselves about the generic nature of matter. If the material is everywhere the same, why not present a process, a machine, which make it possible to transform the material and thus to produce with each movement to the exhibition a new production of furniture that can be reused on site. This work finds its continuity in a collaboration that we carried out with the artist Stéphane Chanclan from Paris, Swiss and French artist, which we worked on the social dimension of reused material by creating site concrete from demolition materials.
Here, this is a picture of our workshop in Nantes. So where we make some prototypes and models at scale 1. So a few years later, we participated in an international workshop in Tokyo and Paris, bringing together 10 French architects and 10 Japanese. And we worked on the old district of Yanaka in Tokyo, where this question of transformation through demolition and reuse is particularly relevant, especially in the Japanese culture, where heritage is based on the know-how of transformation and not in the construction itself. So we made bricks from the site, from material issued to the site. So this work has been a subject of an exhibition in Paris and in Tokyo.
The pavillon de l'Arsenal. Finally, this work on the relationship between the material and territory has also taken the form of more experimental practice. In particular, with this project, the Soft City, La Ville Molle in French, during a workshop with the Art School of Bourges, near Paris, and the Frax Center, the regional fund for contemporary art of the center of France. we have just put an implant under the skin, a large aquatic mattress under the coating of the public space in order to make the pavement soft and alive. And you can see it, we don't show to you the video now because we don't have any time to do that, but we can see it on the Vimeo page, the Raum on Vimeo.
So we did also scenography at the very beginning of our practice, and experimentation on scales smaller than building scale allowed us to test implementation of material, but also particular spatial situation. So we continued in parallel with building construction, a more experimental practice. This work, still in progress, questions our very relationships to construction. Regardless to the scale of the work, the question that remains is the ability of the intervention to modify reality. This is an art installation in Nantes, in France. So what is important for us is a dialogue between what makes architecture. In other words, how architecture can link in a most coherent way the site, the material, and the inhabitants. So Rome is therefore an architecture studio where not only architecture happens, but where experiments are produced in order to rethink the very act of building. You can see some of these experiments on our website and on the Vimeo page Julien talked just before. And beyond these experimentations, the main tool we use is building scale architecture.
Okay, so this first project is our very first project. It is an oyster shed and a small shelter for an oyster farmer who worked alone and went a few days a week to the site in the south of French Brittany. So there. It's not really a river, but a penetration of the sea into the land. It's a moving landscape which combines countryside and ocean, but perhaps more like your landscape here in Sweden. The aim of the project was multiple, fit into a very narrow plot with a long building. Built in wood to create a removable building in the coastal area, which is protected. Create a shelter, a very small living space that offers a frame on the landscape in order to discover it again after a day of work. You can see the side. This small and very simple project made it possible to experiment with effective constructive device, in particular with the development of open work facade and the work of large frames on the landscape, which very strongly qualifies the interior space of the building. So this is the space, the working space, the patio in between the working space and the living space, and the frame on the landscape. It also introduced a low-tech spirit we are working on. Here the project is heat with a single wood stove, ventilation is natural, and all space receive natural light. The interest of the project is in its hybrid character. It's neither a workplace nor a house, but an in-between architecture, something a little complicated, which has made it possible to create unconventional and continuous space without partition and corridor. Okay, 2 houses and 2 studios in Quiberon. This is our second built project, located in the same area than the first one, in South Brittany, in the summer spot of Quiberon. The city of Quiberon has a fairly typical center with mixed fabric of terraced house and high density. So the evolution of the urbanization of the city has given a much more spread out fabric of large house in the center of the plot, with a urban wall which impose a distance
of the separating limits of 5 meters. So the project is on this one. Okay, here the demand of the client was to build 2 houses for seasonal rental on the same plot. This is the diagram of the concept of the house. Our proposal was to change this initial demand, not into 2 houses or 3 bedrooms each, but into 4 entities. One house was linked with 1 studio. So you see just here the first house on the left with a studio above a car park here, and the second one linked with a terrace with the other studio here. So we find a particular attention to the relations between the interior and the exterior, as well as the spatial devices that we could qualify as relational. So we provide large openings, sliding glazing door, and that opens onto the terrace. So this project has initiated a particular work on this subject, quite constant in all of our projects, where we seek to experiment beyond the uses of each space, the way in which their connection can increase and totally transform the architecture.
This third project comes directly from the first one. It's a 69 square meters holiday home located along the Gulf of Morbihan, le Golfe du Morbihan, in a territory similar to the Oyster farm hangar, the first one we showed you. The coastal territory of the Presqu'île de Ruisse Peninsula has also suffered from urban sprawl. If the first village took the form of a relatively dense hamlet, which knew how to save natural and agricultural space, the urbanization of the last 50 years has spread along the coastal road in the form of disseminated and generic houses. We are here in a symptomatic form of urbanization, a plot separated into 3 entities in order to build 3 different houses unrelated to the place. The design approach of the project was imposed in reaction to this observation. The project clearly want to be part of the wood and refuse any relationships with the 2 houses along the road. It's what you see over there. The project used the same constructive device in wood, black stained, and offering radical relations to the landscape and the outside. A patio protected from the wind, you see
at the back.
Yes, yeah. At the back over there. A continuity between the living room and the terrace in the garden, and this is the large window framed towards the landscape. One of the main characteristics of the project is its small surface. Is the master bedroom, if the master bedroom with the big window benefits from the large window on the landscape, the 2 children's bedrooms are designed as a mobile closed bed, which allows them to sleep outside and then let the living room with more space.
So this is the living room with when the 2 closed beds are outside.
Yes, and just after with 1 bed.
Because this is a really small house. And this is the patio.
It's a holiday house.
Holiday house.
So the child could sleep outside.
It's not so cold in this area.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's raining sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
Yes.
So we pursue with the first public competition we won in 2012, the Nantes Conservatory. So the building is an extension of an existing conservatory built in the 70s in a district marked by a lot of administrative buildings. It's located in Nantes, in west of Nantes.
Yes, this is the island in the center of Nantes, and the project is in this area over there.
So the existing building takes up the modern codes of this building built during the 70s with geometric forms, structural invention, smoke glazed facade. It also develops very interesting common spaces, transforming circulation spaces into a real meeting place, like this one. So this is the lobby of the existing conservatoire. So we feel quite close to this modern approach of the initial building, although these architectures remain unpopular today.
And the main criticism we could make about the existing building, and more generally about traditional music and dance academies, is in their relationship to the city and to the public space. What we see over there, the practice room are systematically blind and completely cut off from the outside. This is linked to the double work. In one hand, the artificial light and indoor environments and atmosphere control, and in the other hand, a radical treatment of intimacy. We were here, the location of the extension of
this is the existing conservatoire, and this is our project here.
Okay, and the three main ideas of the project are presented in this drawing. So you have the management of the topography in order to offer a space in addition to the program, if you show it on the plan.
So this is additional space we create.
The dance hall totally open to the city.
Here.
And a distribution of dance and music space totally mixed and evenly distribute across the different level of the building. So you don't have a level of dance and a level of music, so it's completely mixed in all the building.
So you have the dance studios here and music rooms here, and we have some visual relationship between these space. So we see here the very compact building in its context. The desire to open the dance studio is linked to the quality of the workspace and the very high priority we gave for natural light in the rooms. So, but this openness also seems very contemporary for us. The relationships between to the public space and the city has transformed artistic practices. So you can see from the outside the activities inside the building, so from the street, and seeing artistic activities from the street does not only qualify architecture for us, but this relationships also marks the evolution of the intimacy of these practices. And the very question of the image with social networks today. So we can open the dance studio as well.
The program provided only initially. The program provided only 15 square meters from the entrance hall. So it's very small for the building because it's an extension of the first one. The compactness of the project and the work of interconnection between the different room and different space in the different level allows us to offer an additional space, which was named by the studio, and we work with a Belgian
architect.
Yes, Lescaut, and we named this space the seventh studio. This additional entrance space, which open completely onto the outside, makes the connection of the two grounds level possible. The smoke glazing clearly refers to the architectural heritage of the 70s and provide a mirrored interior facade, which together with the wooden floor and the stage grill allow artistic performance conditions in this not defined space.
So we use a double brick wall on exterior insulation, sorry, and let's keep the exposed concrete wall inside the room. For this is the black studio, and so you see we try to create a really simple space with a minimum acoustic treatment, like very simple. In a very simple way. So it's done with ceilings with fully covered ceilings with acoustic panels and scenic curtains installed in the front of the concrete walls. You can see the view from the studio on the outside. So each studio has a different view.
Dead students.
So the main challenge for us was to create views between the dance and the music space. So the idea is that connection between practices is part of the educational project, but it also can find its continuity in architecture. So we also take a particular attention into the details. Going to the bar.
This project is located in Pantin, in the northeast of Paris. It's a project of 30 social housing units with a very, 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 very limited budget, divided into 4 plots in the same street, in this street. Okay, we have 4 buildings here, 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 and here. The project is part of the city's approach to urban renewal in order to reduce the large number of unsanitary housing present in this place, in this area. The main idea of the project is to extend the suburban fabric of the district in order to preserve the urban scale and to avoid the construction of buildings with excessively long facade. Beyond the small scale of the building, the interest of this suburban fabric is to offer different volumes and different scale and diversity of view and orientation for the apartments. Thus, the work on the plans has been done in order to offer housing in each corner of the building. Yes, sure. So that the living rooms benefit from a real double orientation. And the volumetric fragmentation offers outdoor space for the dwellings. The construction is quite simple, based on the repetition of a single window's detail and size, and the use of brick with color change with only 2 colors.
This is the outside spaces for the upper level apartments and the view over the roofs. Okay, so we're going to talk about another project, different one. This is a technical project, a trucks maintenance center in Brittany again, in North Brittany. And so this project is located in northern Brittany and brings together road maintenance services in the site. So this project is technical and is above all guided by several elements: vehicle traffic, safety for the workers, and functionality of the site. So beyond the technique, the main issue can be found in, again, the relationships with the landscape. So this is the plot. It's the flat architectural landscape. So this is a plan of the building in the plot. So the project consists of three parts, three main parts. Vehicle parking lot over there, the being hangar. A maintenance workshop over here. This is the highest space in the project, and combined with some technical rooms and offices over here. So we try to make a continuity with the roof. So the project is so you see in the section here with the main space, the main maintenance center space here. So the building is built entirely with wood, and in reference to the local and traditional construction. So we see the building in its landscape, and this is the maintenance workshop. We define some crossing device, crossing facade for the trucks. So this is the hangar with for the parking lot, where the cladding is perforated, like the first project we show you, the first Oyster farm hangar, in order to provide a natural light inside the building.
So the Pierre Blanche Cultural Center, Pierre Blanche means white stone in French, is an important project for us, like all the projects, but it's this one which awarded the French National Prize of the Équerre d'Argent. So it's a little important for us. It's located in the city of Saint-Jean-de-Boiseau, in suburb of Nantes metropolis.
This is Nantes, and the project is over here.
It also has a special location in the city of Saint-Jean-de-Boiseau, because it is also on the suburb of the city center. The program consists of a cultural space that hosts a performance hall for live shows, weddings, municipal council, as well as a dance theater and music school.
So this is the picture of the existing building on the site that has been demolished before the construction of the project. So this is a site on the outskirts of the periphery, and with no quality for us, with a very common suburban fabric, and you see football playgrounds in the south. So we just noticed when we first visit the site, we just noticed that there is something interesting in the south here.
A beautiful little wood. Okay.
Wood in the south, so well oriented.
This one.
This one. So we decided to maybe make connection with the woods in the south of the plot. So this is the floor plan. The project is organized around a main room, the main performance room here, and with the entrance hall over there. And as association rooms, and you see here you have some rooms for music school and theater practice and everything. As we can see on the plans, the room can function facing the stage, or benefit from a large opening here towards the landscape of the woods. So these sections show the volumetry of the project. that creates a link between the suburban context and the different programs of the equipment. So each space have different ceiling height in order to manage with the activities inside. So it creates divided volumes on the outside in the continuity of the neighboring houses. So this project is entirely in double brick wall again, allowing us, as we did for the Nantes Conservatoire, to keep the raw concrete inside and to manage the ventilation system outside behind the brick moucharabier. So this system provides also large windows, large opening towards the landscape, in order to make specific atmosphere for each interior space and to qualify the facade according to the uses. So this is the theater room here. You have the hall, the lobby hall, and the main stage here. So the brick moucharabier also turns around inside and inside the performance hall in order to ensure acoustic treatment. Here. So these are the bleachers facing the stage. And the entry hall lobby with raw concrete walls. So this is the main circulation in the building. This is a crossing circulation that separates the performance hall from the other rooms. So we try to make many transparencies between the space, even if they separate by this corridor. Okay, this is the photographer.
Audrey Sardon. Okay, this is the last project we show to you this evening. Is one of our last build project. It's also located in Nantes, next to the train station. The district of the project is mainly made of office buildings that have been built in the early 30 years. The idea of the urban project was to open up the district of social housing Malakoff over there, to the east of to the site, to the center of the city over there with the castle. Okay. The urban project aims to connect the Malakoff district to the city center through a large urban breakthrough over there. Thank you. And with a more mixed architecture and mixed program. The program of the project for us was consists with 3 different entities. The office for the French railway company, public car park, and a housing tower block of 33 apartments. The main idea of the project was to clearly separate the programmatic entities. So you can.
Your project is the quite bigger one.
Yes.
That we have done.
And you have the French railway company network office is over there, the public car park over there, and the housing tower. Yeah.
The program also demand to make something public on the top of the car park. So that was not defined at the very beginning, but during the process.
During the studies, it changed a lot.
And finally, there's an office block, office building on the top,
and a restaurant.
a public garden with a restaurant here.
Okay. Yes, you can see the other side. A very large public staircase separates the office and the car park. It provides access to the roof, to the public roof. And this large staircase also allows users of the car park to exit at each level directly outside.
You have connections from the stairs at each level.
And we will talk at the end later about the work on materiality for this project, but the idea was to find a global coherence despite the separation of the different construction. The detached buildings are made of brick and the public car park is made of cast-in-place tinted concrete.
Okay, so you can see this is the railway company offices facade. So we use brick again and large fixed glaze window, so opening behind the Moucharabe bricks. So this system is particularly interesting here because of a special need required for office security. So this is the concrete staircase we saw before, and a little ramp, really with relatively low technical detail. This is something we like. So just focus a little bit on the plan and organization. So this is the plan of the car park. So there are two inverted ramps in the center, one for going up and the other for going down. So it's really a simple system of organization. And then you have the places for cars around this ramp. So the structure is in red concrete, and it allows future transformation, maybe because of the ceiling height, maybe into housing or offices, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
And the frame of the car park facade is sized to prevent cars from falling without the need of any additional structure.
This is a ramp. So this is the end of the ramp on the roof. So you see the office building here with the garden, but around the ramp. We can see on this picture the three separate elements of the project: offices, car park, and the tower block. So we see here, this is a vélo, c'est bicycle parking lot that we put it in between the two elements, the housing tower and the car park, with a lot of transparency. But it's not really simple to do this because of fire issues.
Regulation.
So the residential tower is formed by the constraints of the neighborhood. The boulevard, you can see in front of the tower. The adjoining building on the right here, and the car park. So the shape is created by the limits of the plot and provides a certain diversity and different housing plans for each apartment. So this diversity resulting from urban integration interested us since it enables housing with very specific identities. So as we saw in the social housing project in Pantin, we have tried to systematically put living rooms into the corners so that we can have multiple orientations. So this is apartments in the top. So finally, this is the main facade. So finally, this research on the material was carried out very early in the project. And we can see here the construction of a prototype of the grid, the structure, in our workshop in Nantes.
Okay, as a conclusion, because you have finished.
Was short.
And regarding to the first image we have presented, our practice try to focus on the relationship between material, site, and program by seeking simplicity, coherence, and radicality. We teach in a school of architecture in Nantes and in Paris, but in Nantes. And we work with our students on the territories in crisis in which we live. And the crisis is now political, social, and environmental. And if we must act above all as citizens, we believe that architecture is a very good tool to deal with these issues. So, thank you.
Thank you.
It's done. Yeah. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Are there any questions? We've got time for some questions. Don't be shy.
Hello. It seems like the houses you are building never have a straight corner, like a orthogonal. It's always an angle in some corner. How come?
It mainly comes from, the limits of the plot for certain projects, and maybe in the work of defining, drawing some specific spaces with the limits.
Yes. Yes.
Är det någon mer som har en fråga? You said it all already. There are many very different projects, small ones, big ones, cultural spaces, technical spaces, and living spaces. Very impressive work. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.